So, how are you doing, sir? How are you doing? I have a guest with me today. I'm just going to ask that you introduce yourself to my audience, to my subscribers. Who are you? What do you do? Let them know.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nevon Malabre. I'm a real estate agent. That's my primary thing right now. Pretty much, I got curious back in 2015 in regards to the real estate game. I was used to watch like all those HD videos, and it's so amazing just to see like the type of investment returns you could pretty much get. So that's what sparked my interest. And then in 2016, I hooked up with some investors. Long story short, I did some investments with them. After that, I decided to get my real estate and my mortgage license. Talking to some investors, we pretty much decided that it makes sense to get our licenses so that we can facilitate those services ourselves rather than having other agents representatives to do that for us. So, since 2017, that's when I've pretty much been doing real estate. And it's been an amazing ride so far.
Yes. So, thank you so much, Navon, for coming on. So, the purpose of this video, guys, is we want to just talk a little bit, real casual conversation about getting into the real estate market, especially in the pandemic, especially within the GTA. This is more from a GTA Canadian
Exactly.
perspective.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, if you're from other countries, even other provinces, you might have to do a bit more further research on what it's like in your region. But this is more for Ontario, Canada region. So I want to ask you right now that we're like
Yeah.
a year into this pandemic, and besides besides the pandemic of the virus, how
Yeah.
has the economic climate affected the real estate market? How would you say it's affected the real estate market in your opinion?
Yeah. Well, definitely, first off, I'd like to say like the market has definitely changed significantly since COVID, as much as other industries. I would say that the biggest thing is that nowadays you don't really have that physical contact in terms of being able to do open houses, and even you could have certain situations where certain people aren't as willing to do showings just because of the COVID concerns. So real estate, as long as other industries have has gone definitely gone virtual. I would say the biggest thing that we're seeing from an economic and a market perspective in terms of what's going on is the fact that right now, centrally located properties markets, um, they seem to be flatline or even stable.
Mm.
Whereas the further you go, right in the suburbs, that's where you're seeing the most increases. So, especially talk to my clients and see what's going on in the market. And the main thing is that what people are looking for is that in their homes now is where you work, it's where you live, is where you play, right? So because of that, people are looking for units and properties in which they get more bang for their buck. It makes sense to go out of town in which you get twice the house and pay half the price, right?
Right.
So that's the biggest thing that I'm seeing in that we're seeing in the real estate market right now, where people are really, you know, really opening up their perspective on things and really thinking of what's important to them, and they're willing to move further away in order to service the needs for themselves from a work perspective and also from a family perspective. So that
Right.
was the biggest that's the biggest thing that we're seeing in the market today.
So you're just seeing a lot more people moving more to the outskirts right now, like more out
Exactly.
of the
Like,
GTA.
yeah, because
Is there a
and it's
community
crazy
or
to see
is
like
there a
how
community or is there a city that is really hot right now that you've noticed?
pretty much every city is hot, but especially it's escalated in some of the suburbs. So like Durham region is absolutely crazy right now. Niagara region, Kitchener, Brantford, Hamilton, London, even as far as Windsor. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So pretty much like we're saying real estate, you have to drive until you can afford to buy. And right now that's consistent with the market right now, where the further out you go, um, that's where you're seeing the most action, the most competition on homes.
Right. Would you say, because I know I hear talks about buyer's market versus seller's market. Can you say
Yeah.
what it is right now, and, or maybe before you even say it, could you just give a brief like what's a buyer's market, what's a seller's market, and then could you say what you think it is right now?
Okay, so pretty much a buyer's market is when there is more supply than demand. So pretty much um, there's more listings out there, so which basically means that buyers have more options. And then a seller's market is pretty much when there is a tightening of supply. So basically, there's not as much homes available for purchasers. Right now, what we're seeing is, obviously, like every location, every market is different. But typically speaking, the condo market is relatively slow or stable, whereas the freehold market, especially the detached market, that's really pretty much the higher. That's where the most competition is right now. So
Mm.
in regards to that, definitely like the detached freehold market is where
So more
things are definitely.
so more people are looking to purchase freehold homes right now, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly, because typically speaking, people choose the condo option in order to be close to home. But because people don't need to go into the office every day, because people can't take advantage of all the amenities of being downtown and be able to go to see the Raptors on a weekend or even go to a bar. And even the condominiums themselves with the common elements, people are not able to take advantage of the amenities.
Right.
So these are some of the reasons why some buyers are not looking towards the condo market anymore, and that's the reason why the freehold market has gained steam, which is pretty interesting because since 2017 and when the government introduced the legislation, since 2017, it's been a hot condo market has been a hot inventory,
Mm.
and the freehold market is pretty much stable. Whereas over the last 6 months or so since COVID started back in April, is things have flipped. You know what I mean? And speaking on the market itself, the market's been like really hot since like January, since like mid January.
Right.
That's when we've seen like a crazy um, price increase. It slowed down a little bit in April, but since June, things have really picked back up, and that's we've been seeing the bidding wars and everything since then. And I'll definitely say like it's increased even more in terms of competition since the new year as well.
Okay. Sorry, 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
Can you hear the background noise?
No,
No?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Um okay. Okay, so that's fair. Would you say right now it's easier or hard for, and given the circumstances of like the you know, pandemic and all that. Do you say it's easier or harder for younger people, younger couples, people starting out
I'll
to
definitely say
purchase a
it's
home?
like I think it all depends on the market you're looking to. Right now, if you're looking at the condominium market, just because there is so much supply out there and not as much demand for it, the condo market is where you get a lot of value. Whereas in
Mm,
the freehold market, you really have there has to be like everything has to be ready to go. You have to have your pre-approval. You have to have a high sense of urgency in terms of
right.
um, you know there might be properties out there that you want, but where the market is right now, you have to focus on what you need, especially as a first-time home buyer. If it's your second home, you know what I mean. It's not as concerned. Maybe you have the equity and maybe you have the capital to in order to do whatever it takes in order to get the exact home you want. But especially for a first-time home buyer, you have to focus on what you need. You have to focus on what we can afford, and especially because where the market's going right now, you don't necessarily have to hold your home for a long period of time. Right now, we're seeing just in January alone, we've seen price increases of 10 to 15%, which basically mean on the average price of a home of 947,000.
Mm,
Prices right now are literally increasing 25,000 to $37,000 every single week in terms of market value. So every single week that home buyers are not in the market, you can expect to pay 25 to $37,000 for exact same type of property. You know what I mean? So um, that's the biggest thing that I would say is to have certain sense of urgency. Make sure you have everything. in terms of all your due diligence and pre-approvals, and there's other things that are required. I can speak to more about that in regards to conditions and the process of putting in offers right now. But yeah, you have to have urgency. You have to have all your due diligence done before even putting in an offer.
Right. So for the first time home buyers, though, for those that are looking to get into the market, you're saying it's probably easier right now to maybe, unless they have the capital or unless they have the money for a detach, it's probably easier for them to get a condo because there's a lot more supply for the condos, and the competition isn't as stiff. Whereas you're saying if they want to get like a freehold or something, first of all, freeholds obviously, freehold houses are obviously more than condos. Number one, but because the competition is so stiff with those, they have to have like everything like in order right away, and then so that right they're ready to just like, I guess, put in their bid if they see something that they want, type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. This is also another thing that's been going on for the last couple of years, where pretty much condos are the new first time homes, right? Just because if you look at the affordability, the affordability is more in the condo market, obviously
Yeah,
price per square foot, and pretty much just how much it costs, right? The average price of a detached right now is over a million. You know what I mean? And how much first time homebuyers are able to
crazy.
have the resources to be able to accommodate that, right? So the most important thing is always to consider what you can afford it and get into that market. Hold it for a little bit, build some equity, and then the next time it comes around when you're thinking of purchasing, now you have the resources to pretty much to do what you need.
And what are some of the things that people, if you can give us like a high level, that new first time home buyers need to take into consideration when trying to secure a mortgage or get a pre-approval?
Yeah. So the thing with the pre-approval is, I see the number one thing is the debt ratio. Pretty much what the debt ratio is that the banks will look at your income, um, and they'll look at the amount of capital you have in proportion to your monthly finances and your monthly financial obligations, and that's what the bank will approve you for. So that's one of the most important things in regards to a pre-approval process. For example, you can have $1 million in a bank, but if you don't have enough income, then no bank is gonna finance you, which is pretty crazy to think about that.
That's
I
weird.
know personally, yeah, honestly, personally for me, when I
But
first
then
wanted
I
to get
guess
into
in
the
that case
market,
you could just buy the house right out, straight out.
yeah, if $1 million can get you exactly what you want, then you have to pretty much
Yeah.
purchase it out. That pretty much happened to me in 2015, where what I mean, like in 2015. I didn't really know much about real estate, so I was kind of doing the low and wolf thing and seeing properties myself and all these things. I went to the bank thinking I could get any mortgage I can because I already had the finance to put 10% down. I had a really good job. I had no debts and a perfect credit score. And I went to the bank and like I qualified for significantly less than what I thought I could gain. You know what I mean? So in regards to home buyers, the most important thing is to get that pre-approval, know exactly how much home that you can afford in terms of how much you're going to purchase, and also understanding what your monthly payments are going to be. Because at the end of the day, your home is going to be your largest expense. So you have to know in order to budget other expenses you're going to have, how much a home's going to cost you, right? Because I think
Right.
that's one of the most important things. So definitely pre-approval is definitely um, the first step. The second step I would say is then to talk to a real estate agent. Let the agent know what you want, what you need, so the agent could look at the market to see what it's doing, so that you have an idea of how much it's going to cost you, and pretty much work with both the real estate agent and the mortgage agent. Find out how much it's going to cost you, um, with the real estate agent, and then talk to the mortgage broker to see what needs to happen in terms of income, or maybe it's documentation that needs to be done in order to get you to that purchase price you want. One of the issues that I had back in 2015 was that like 30% of my income was like self-employed income, but I didn't claim it for tax purposes. So because I didn't claim it for tax purposes, it affected how much I was able to qualify for it in regards to financing, because it's all based on your income, right?
Right.
So it's important to understand all these every single aspect of the mortgage process.
So the main thing that I got from that is it's not so much of how much, in terms of getting a pre-approval, it's not so much of how much money you have in the bank. the banks are mainly concerned with your income, because when they want to know what, if you can keep up with your monthly payments, and also your debt ratio. um those things are very important, you're saying, because, like, I guess that makes sense, because, like you said, if you have all your money for the down payment, but you don't have a good income, cool, you could pay for the down payment, but now the bank is worried about how you're going to pay for your actual mortgage. So I guess the income part is very important, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Because like exactly, you have to look at it from the bank's perspective, right? Let's just say someone makes $4,000 a month, right? And let's just say the mortgage is going to cost 3,000. And then I don't know, maybe you have $200 student loans. Then you have a $400 car payment. You know what I mean? So the bank's gonna look, okay, you have all these financial obligations. Is there enough room after you pay the mortgage, the utilities, the property taxes, and all your other financial obligations that you could service that and your other month-to-month expenses, right? So that's the reason why the bank is so concerned about that. And one other cautionary tale in regards to that is that especially if you're self-employed or a business, you have to make sure that everything is registered. You have to make sure you have all the documentations for that as well, or else the bank is not going to consider that in terms of your income as well. So um, that's one thing that I would let first-time homebuyers to be aware of. Again, if you're thinking about purchasing a home, even if it's like 2 years down the road, 5 years down the road, talk to a mortgage broker, talk to a mortgage representative, let them know what your situation is, let them know what your goals are, and then go from there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So once after um they get um their pre-approval and all that stuff, then they go to find a realtor. I know you're not. I know you're not a mortgage agent, so maybe
Yeah,
you can't answer this question, but I still want to ask you, because you're still in the
yeah,
industry.
yeah.
What do you feel about B lenders?
In regards to B lenders, like the way I think about it is this, right? Any possible way that you get into the market, go ahead and do it, right? Because even if you go to a B lender, you have to pay a higher rate. Well, guess what? The rate you're paying is significantly less than what you can gain from owning a home, right? Even if you have to pay, 30 basis points higher. You know what I mean? Like through 3 points. Um, and let's just say you have to pay 2%, 2.4%. Your home's still appreciating 10, 15%. So when you look at the numbers, when you look at the math, you know what I mean? It makes sense to own asset because the asset is appreciating faster than what it's costing you to pay on the debt. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like even if you have to go to a C lender, even if you go to a private lender, I would definitely say, you know, do whatever you got to do in order to just get your foot in the door.
To get into the market. Yeah, and
Exactly.
that's an option. That's another option. I know I have another video up on my YouTube channel. I'll link it above, of different ways that you can look to get into the market. And I mentioned like something like option for homes, or like taking advantage of the 5%, the government 5%, or other government grants. But yeah, another one is possibly looking into B lenders. Honestly, I didn't even know there was such thing as a C lender. That's the first time I heard it. I thought it was just the regular banks and then B lenders. I did not know
Yeah.
there was no C lender. But
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. C lender is pretty much a private mortgage. You know what I mean? It's pretty much a private lender.
like, they're not banks.
Yeah. So they're not institutional banks. They're pretty much um, private companies or even private persons that pretty much um, obviously loan out money in order to give home buyers another option in order to get into the market. So the interest rates are
I
typically
don't know
higher.
about no C lender. I ain't trying to go no private.
Honestly, like I know a guy that's pretty much how he started his portfolio. Um, Pretty much like I don't know how he did this, but he pretty much found someone who was willing to give him 100% financing, right? But here's the thing: that first home that he was able to get on 100% financing has allowed him to build an empire where pretty much he pretty much buys like 10, 12 homes a year. He owns
Oh wow.
resorts and stuff like that. So I mean, like, and it's the same with me because even for me, like I'm very financially prudent and like I hate that and I hate um taking loans and stuff. But what I learned from real estate is literally that's what real estate is all about. Real estate is pretty much if you have to do this smart and you have to know how to do it, right? But the name of the game when it comes to real estate is to borrow as much of other people's money as possible in order to put down on properties, and then you know have a strategy in which you're making money from it. If,
Right.
if there's a way, if there's a way that I can continue using other people's money, i.e., the bank's money, in order to facilitate my assets, I'll do that every single time as long as the numbers make sense.
Right. Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point. I guess the last question I'll ask you is what
Yeah,
as a first time home buyer, what should people look out for when they're now looking to find a realtor? What would make a good realtor? Like what should people look for when they want to look to find a realtor that they want to work with?
yeah. So the thing with this business, I'll say, is transparency. Trust me, there's been a lot of times, and for me where I've advised my clients that you know that pretty much that I didn't make a deal, but I'm always gonna have the client, right? In other words, you know what I mean. I would rather advise my clients in a way that represents their interest in terms of what they want to do. And if that means that I don't make a deal, I'd rather do that because I think if someone does something and it's not in someone's best interest, guess what? You're not going to get the referrals. That person's
Mhm.
not going to work with you ever again. And then number three, they're going to tell other people not to work with you. You know what I
Right.
mean? So that'll be one thing is to work with someone that seems knowledgeable, seems work with someone that is in tune with what you want to do, and your goals and your strategies. Again, back in 2015, the reason why that I didn't really work with any real estate agents, and it hurt me in the back end. By that time, like I didn't really know any real estate agents that was capable of doing what I wanted. So I wanted investment properties, but I do like a lot of high analytics and high um, analysis on it. So,
Mhm.
I didn't really know any real estate agents with that. So pretty much find an agent that is transparent, that's in tune in which what you want to do. Um, and is pretty much is not there to just make a deal. That's someone
A-
that can
And
answer
does a
all your questions you have.
does research on the area that you are looking to purchase, because I think that's also an asset as well when you have a realtor that can tell you like cool, like you want a house here, but this area is known for maybe this area kind of has like high crime rate, or maybe this something something something. I would you say that's also something that they should look for?
Oh, for sure. Like that's so important because especially because of real estate, especially picking the right home that because obviously it's obviously an investment as well, right? So obviously you definitely want to have the expertise in knowing like the market in terms of infrastructure development. I think there was a story where in my office where an agent sold someone a home, but in that particular area, it's known for having termites, so there was termites in the home. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So all those things are important. You definitely want to work with an agent that specializes in that specific location or area, or has the right information that you need in order for you to make a credible decision.
okay, thank you. I think those are good points that people that are looking to get into the market can start off with. Obviously everybody has to do their own research, because like you said, buying a home is like probably one of the biggest assets that you can purchase. So you
Yeah.
obviously have to do research on it, but I think those are some good background information for people to look into when they're looking to purchase their home. We covered like the climate of the market right now, and ways to possibly get into the market, be lenders versus going with the major banks. That's an option. Getting their foot in the door with maybe getting a condo versus getting a house right away. And like you said, it's not like you have to hold on to the property forever. Like you could flip it and you would still make a profit, but just getting into the market, all those things that we mentioned. So I think those really good information. And then also things to look for for a realtor. So if anybody is looking for a realtor, how could they get in contact with you?
Yes. So you can definitely leave my information in the
I
description.
definitely will.
Um, on social media, I'm more active on Instagram, Agent Nevy. Um, Also, you can just go to my website, agentnevy.com as well. Um, and honestly, the best way is just get in contact with me directly. I'll definitely provide Crystal um, my information, and then you guys can go ahead and contact me. There's a few things that I wanted to touch upon if we have time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so just a few things I want to go over real quick. Um, One other option right now that you could look towards right now is new builds. Typically, right now, new builds you're going to be looking, you could possibly look and be paying higher price per square foot on it. But the thing with the new builds is that is great because just because you don't have to get into the competition, the bidding wars and stuff like that. Whatever the developer has in terms of their price list, that's what you pay. You know what I mean? So um, depending on the project, nowadays is not really negotiable just because they're selling out like hotcakes. But that's definitely another option. One reason why I love new builds, the fact that you're paying today's price, but by the time you take possession of it, a couple years down the road, obviously it's gonna be a higher value. So you could purchase a property, let's just say $700,000 today, and let's say if you close in the next 2 years, it's gonna be worth 850, 900, right? So that's one option home buyers can look at. In regards to bidding wars, I just want to touch upon in regards to that. Um, nowadays it's a hot market, right? So kind of what I mentioned before earlier is home buyers nowadays have to pretty much put in a strong offer, an aggressive offer. Again, nowadays you have to have all your due diligence on and all your I's and T's crossed um, even before putting an offer in. That means having your pre-approval, going out, seeing the properties as soon as it's listed. If you see something you like, get the listing, send it off to your mortgage broker, and get their approval that you can go ahead and put in a firm offer without conditions. Um, Nowadays, you can't really do conditions on a home just because there's so much competition. There's 95% chance that you're not going to win out in those situations. Even with inspections as well. Nowadays, you can't really even do an inspection condition. So home buyers have the option to either not take the risk and not do one. You could try to put in a condition for inspection, but that's probably not going to go through. Or you can even consider doing a pre-offer inspection, which pretty much means do an inspection even before putting an offer, just to protect yourself a little bit more. In regards to deposits, putting as high as a deposit as possible, um, and submit a deposit with the offer. So these are just some of the things that you can do to win out in a bidding war in order to increase your chances of getting a deal or getting the property that you want.
Those are good points. Yeah. Like you said, having the deposit ready, I think gives you an advantage. When you're bidding against other people, because if you're thinking about it from like the seller's point of view, if you have two people, one person is putting in an offer and one has doesn't have the deposit ready versus one that does, you're probably going to want to go with the one that has a deposit because it's more secure. So that's a good point. But yeah,
Yeah,
thank you
yeah,
so much for sharing that. And again, if anyone is in looking to get a real estate agent, if anyone is looking to get into the market, if you're in the, because you only work within Ontario, right?
yeah. I just pretty much work with Ontario.
Yeah, so if anyone is in Ontario looking to purchase a home in Ontario, definitely like check the links below, hit up Agent Nevy, and yeah, share this video to as many people as possible that are looking to get into the market and just want some more information. And thank you so much again for coming. Appreciate you. Appreciate your knowledge. Thank you for coming by to my channel.
Thank you so
Yes,
much for having
guys.
me on. It's always a pleasure when we get together and we speak on all these topics in terms of wealth and whatnot. And honestly, I even want to discuss some other things, other topics with you in the future. So that's something that I'm definitely looking forward to.
Yes, for sure. I'd be down for sure. But guys, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And
Yep,
for
sure. Get those
sure.
likes up, get those
Get
comments
those
up, you
likes
know.
up, get the subscribers up, get the watch time up. And yes, guys, I will see y'all next time.
Thank you so much.